Hey guys, this is Eric Weingarten with Weingarten Racing. It is Saturday, so this is your update video day. I get to talk about a lot of stuff. Big news, and this is going to be the biggest one for you guys. On Thursday, coming on this Thursday, I'll be back on the dyno again with the small block Chevy Dyno Mule, the 406 small block Chevy, and I'll be testing a bunch of different things. If you're not already a channel member, and you're like, what's a channel member? I click subscribe. No, a paid channel subscriber, as a member, what you do is you go to my website, wengines.com. On the homepage, you scroll about halfway down. You'll see a link to my online store. It'll be like Weingarten Racing at braveshop.com or something like that. You click on that, and that has all the stuff that you could purchase from me, like old books of past dyno sessions, a PDF bundle that has all the dyno sessions from, well, all but one dyno session from last year. I mean, there's a bunch of different things, burrs, t-shirts, that sort of stuff's on there. But the other thing is channel membership. And what that does is, one, you get updates way before that ever comes on videos, just because of the way things schedule and stuff. But you also get text updates as it's going on. So you're actually getting videos of the engine running. You're getting the dyno sheets as it's coming off. It's a pretty cool thing. So anyway, highly recommend you do that. To me, I think it's worth the money. You also get discounts on books and stuff. The other thing is you get texted all the dyno sheets, obviously, but those are available. So for instance, the last dyno session, which was with the 540 big block Chevy dyno, you can purchase the dyno sheets, and it's on my store. You'll have to go to probably page 2. That's where you'll see the link. So when people are like, I don't see it, at the bottom it'll say page 2, and you could purchase for it's only $20. You can get all the dyno sheets from when the 540 ran. I'm going to offer that again when I do this small block Chevy one, so if you just want to see the sheets, you can. The membership gets you it for, well, kind of for free, because you don't really pay because you pay for the membership. You also get videos and other cool stuff, and hopefully I can make better videos than I did last time. Blah, blah, blah. I know you're tired of that. What's being tested? Well, currently the 406 has the ProMax 235 CNC ported heads, which are my head design on there, my cylinder port design that's on there. The heads are being switched out to an AFR 227 competition ported head. It's completely stock. Now, I did flow it, and man, did I find something. I'm going to do a video on Monday, probably. It's going to come out, because I was just going to flow it, because for those that don't know, anytime we have those dyno books that I was telling you about for sale, what's in those besides just dyno sheets, I get flow numbers for the heads, the cross-sectional measurements for the heads, a whole bunch of different measurements. The measurements for the manifolds that were tested as well will be in there, and then the dyno sheet, so you have more information, in other words. So anyway, what I was doing is I was reflowing that head just to see, and I was hoping to capture something on camera, and I was unable to, but I did capture something else, and thank God. That experiment worked out great, and that's Monday's video. I know you're like, wait, I thought we were going to get the 540 dyno test with the manifolds. That one's going to wait, because this one, wow, it's cool. Okay, so anyway, I know you're like, you're just building things up. No, I'm being serious. Watch the next technical video on Monday. That one's going to be good. Promise. You'll be like, no way. Yep. I can't believe I tested. I can't believe the test did what it did, but yeah. Anyway, so what's going to be tested on the Dyno Mule? One, switching heads, the AFR 227s. The biggest thing also being tested are tunnel rams. A viewer sent this in. He's also a channel member too. He sent in this tunnel ram to test as well. So currently the tunnel rams being tested will be an Elderbrock Street tunnel ram, a Holley Pro Dominator, if I can get the linkage to work, and then we have this Elderbrock Victor ram. This is the bigger one. So of all the tunnel rams being tested, this is the bigger of them. So this one's even more unique because of this. It's got the two 4150 tops, which is great, because guess what? Running two 4150 1,000 CFM carburetors. But he's also got this. Now, I'm not so certain this is going to work, but it's be interesting to test. This is an Interly top, and what it does is it fits right on top of here. So try not to knock anything over. But this sits on just like that. And you're like, so what? Because on top of this Interly hat, you can put this on. This is a Buffco, and I don't think the guy knew this. This is made for a blower. This is one of those Buffco adapters that sits on top of you. Got a 1071, 1471 root supercharger. This, and you want to run one Dominator, this would be their better deal to put it. That's why we have this deal in the middle, because on a blower, you actually have a piece of aluminum that goes across there. But we're gonna try it, I guess. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bolt that onto that, and then this bolts on, and you guessed it, single dominator. So on this manifold itself, and this one we can do it on, we're gonna get to test the dominator versus two 4150s, even though this, and don't feel too bad because where this space is right here. So I don't know that it's gonna necessarily hurt things at all, but I don't know if it's gonna make more power than a 4150. We're gonna test that. Also, if, now this is an if one, if these carburetors show up, I'm gonna use some E85, I'm gonna do some E85 dominator testing. Besides the tunnel rams being tested, I'm gonna bring the Edelbrock 2970 that we've been testing with all the other heads, just so I have a baseline to go with. And that's gonna be run with their dominator that's on gas. Maybe we could check on E85 as well. If I'm gonna bring this manifold, and if we have time, I'm also gonna test a TrickFlow R, but I'm gonna bring this manifold, and if there's time, I'm gonna try this. The manifold I'm gonna bring is gonna be an Edelbrock Performer RPM. It's not the air gap one. I've used it in past tests, but what I wanna do, because several people have said, try that. So one of the things that people wanted to see tried was putting a dominator on the dual plane, because you know what, if you've watched any of my videos about the dyno testing, the dominator is like Frank's Red Hot sauce. You put that on anything and it seems like it picks it up. Every time I put the dominator with that adapter, picks it up. So I'm gonna try it on the dual plane. That'd be kind of fun. And we'll see if it makes any more power. That is probably the biggest things that's going to be tested. That will happen on Thursday. I'm going down Wednesday to start switching cylinder heads over and whatnot. If you're bold, or if you, I'm kind of putting this out there, but not necessarily you have to, but or not, anybody doesn't have to, but if you're like, man, I'd like to kind of see what's going on with that, if you hit me up, you can email me. Maybe you could come and watch if things go right. I have to ask Gary also, but I don't mind having like one or two people there kind of just watching or whatnot. Might make things easier for filming too. But anyway, if you're interested, hit me up, winegardenracing@gmail.com. Maybe we can work something out. I'm not saying I can or can't, but I just thought I'd throw it out there. But that's what's going to be tested on Wednesday and Thursday. But there's other stuff I want to show you too, because some other things came in as well. So let me show you some of the other stuff. This came in. Now you might say, what is that? Well, this is a Titan oil pump. This is the oil pump I'm going to switch to on the big block Chevy. So in case you're wondering what the heck is this, that thing looks huge. They are big, I'm not going to lie. This is a very big pump. This is actually what the Camaro uses now, although I've got the Sportsman one, which from what I've been told, the difference is one's cast and this one's billet. Of course, it's got the built-in screen that you just saw. But this is a gear rotor oil pump. So your standard pumps that we have are called spur gear. And I'm going to do a whole video showing this and going through some of the details. I want to talk to them more so I get more of my facts straight before I put out a video. But I can tell you this from experience, from what I've used. These are way easier to turn than a spur gear when you have oil in it. And I'm going to find out, because what we're going to do, here's the plan for the big block. When the big block goes back on the dyno, and when it does, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to warm it up and make some baseline pulls again. We're going to drain the oil, pull off the pan that's on there currently, and we're going to switch to this gear rotor oil pump. And we'll see what power difference that there actually is. It's set up at 80 PSI, but I can tell you from experience, usually it means 75. Maybe it will actually be 80 on this engine though, who knows. Anyway, we're going to do that. And then I have bought the Moroso billet aluminum pan. That's the part number is 20385, I think it is. It's the same one I use in the Camaro. It's much like this one, but way better. When it gets here, I'll take a picture. I think it's actually showing up today. So then after test the gear rotor pump versus the spur gear, we're going to change the oil pan and put on the Moroso one, the really nice one, and do another dyno test with that. The bad news is this. I made a huge gamble on the business. I mean, like a $15,000 gamble on something that might make money for the business. And currently it is a huge loss, both in time and also money. And I'm not asking for a woe is me thing, more to explain why dyno testing after the small block's done is probably going to be a little bit. Every small business takes a gamble. We try to invest in some way and we hope it pays off. Every business does, I guarantee it. And sometimes this don't work. And this one didn't, and it sucks. So I got to recover from that. But when we get back on the dyno, which hopefully that won't set me back more than a month and a half maybe. the big block will be back on. We'll get to test that. Hopefully also we can test the 85 on that as well, because by that time, you know, the carburetor should be here when we test for a small block. We just do it on the big block. Then, after that test is done, I get to show you this. This was also ordered. This, by the way, Titan was nice enough to send me this pump. I had to pay for this pan. And the one for the big block, Moroso didn't send me, although I didn't ask either. And you might say, well, you just said you had a huge loss. Why are you getting a pan? That's before I realized that the gamble did not pay off and I'm effectively screwed. Anyway, this is the pan that's going on the small block. Now, this is not the same as the one in the big block. This is a much cheaper version. This is a steel one. And I wanted to show you it because it's got, it came in and it's got some neat things. You might say, why are you changing one on the small block? The small block has no windage tray. It has absolutely nothing. It's completely flat on the bottom. It has no kickouts. I mean, it's nothing. This one is being switched for a couple reasons. One, I want to see when we test the oil system on the big block, if those same things translate over to the small block. Now, I can't say I'm going to run a Titan pump in this, and the reason for that is because if you look, that square imprint does not fit in this without a lot of trimming. If I had the aluminum version of this, which is way more expensive, about $300 more expensive than this one is, then maybe I could run a Titan on it. Like I said, I just can't afford to do that, especially right now. It just ain't gonna happen. But the biggest reason for the pan change, besides the test if the oil differences on a small block versus a big block would be the same, is I'm getting ready to put the supercharger, which I have here, onto the engine, and I need a drain. And so I'm gonna have to pull off the pan, you know, to make a drain line for the supercharger because it's not self-contained. So I'm hoping I can use this plug here. Now, what makes this pan great? Well, obviously you got your windage tray here, and you got these baffle dividers here, but also it's got a kick out on the side. What that's supposed to do is it gets that oil and it stops it from rotating and stays there. The problem is, and I'm going to have to, I'm going to modify this. I just don't like this. What they did is their windage tray goes all the way up to almost there. So the only way that kickouts has any effectiveness, this has any effectiveness, is if the oil gets here and then gets trapped behind it. So in other words, this essentially acts like a normal pan because the kickout almost isn't there because the windage tray is acting like the pan's right there, splashing back into it, not letting it to whip off. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to take a cutter and cut all the way here down the side. And the reason why, because then it exposes the kick out and gets that where it can wipe it off the crank. So the oil, instead of hitting here and bouncing back into the crank, it can go into the kick out that it has and actually use it like it would down here. Now you might say, well, why didn't they just have it come further up? Well, the reason why is because they use the regular bolts, which is kind of what I wanted. The aluminum one doesn't use all these bolts, which I'll show you when the aluminum pan comes in. This will be easy for me to bolt up because it's already got these bolt holes. So to me, it's easier. Anyway, that came in, and you probably won't see any more parts for any of the engines for a while, because it just cost things in general. So yeah, anyway, there's that. And I look forward to testing all that. I'm also going to test one set of headers. I forgot to mention that on the small block Chevy just because they're here. Some Tri-Ys. I think that about wraps up anything that's technical that's happened this week. Besides, obviously, thanks for everybody that's sending in stuff to do testing with. Because a lot of this stuff came from a lot of the viewers who really, really helped out on things. So that's great, especially Titan. They were like, yeah, we could test that. We'll find out. I'm curious to see if it does. And I can't wait for that too. So I'm going to do a whole video about that pump, though, because they've told me some things. I want to make sure I get everything right when I talk about it. But that'll be a cool test. I've never seen a gear rotor versus spur gear as far as power difference. And we'll see if we can get that 540 to make some more power. A couple of manufacturers are supposed to be sending me some different sets of heads also maybe to test on the 540. But from my experience from doing all this testing, many companies say they'll send you stuff and just don't. And it's not, and don't think anything bad about them. They have their own marketing budgets, their business as well, so that sometimes they just don't have the funds to just give a product away just to test. Even though I'm like, I'll give it back when I'm done, but then they can't, sometimes you obviously can't use it when it's been ran. So I totally get it. I hate, it seems like I'm asking for parts I'm not. I'm like, look, I'm about to be your R&D department. But anyway, that wraps up pretty much the technical part. If you know anything about the Saturday videos, that's when I tell about my son and how he did at swimming. So this wraps up all the technical stuff. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome. Now to my non-tech part. Okay, guys, don't forget, remember, the technical part's done. Thanks for watching. Just like to remind you again so that you know. Anyway, so last week was high school state swimming. There's championships or whatnot. And I did a video last week and I talked about Friday because that was the preliminaries. Saturday was finals. Well, he did the best he could. I mean, he does that every time he swims, but he did the best he could. I wish I could say, man, he just stomped the dog crap out of him, but that just didn't happen. What had happened was this. He didn't qualify. Remember, he only could do 2 individual events, and he one of them was the 100, the other was the 500 freestyle, both freestyle. He didn't qualify in the 100 for the finals. In other words, the top 16 go on to the finals. There's a B final, which is like 9 through 16, and then the A final, which is 1 through 8. 1 through 8 get a medal, and that's what he really wanted. 9 through 16, really just racing for 9th. So you get what I'm saying. So in the 500, though, he did make the finals, but he made the B final. So again, he's racing for 9th. His 2 relays, which this was weird, they both make the finals, but they don't make A finals, which means, again, can't get a medal, which we'll get to that in a minute. Because if you watched last week, you'll know he made a mistake in his relay, and he was really, really beating himself up bad on that, super bad. So what had happened was it was his last relay, it was the last event of the prelims, and he was the first leg. He jumps in the pool, it's 100, so he's swimming 100, and he comes to his first turn, and he misses the wall. And I don't mean that he doesn't touch the wall, he does. But when he goes to start his turn, he's too far away from the wall, so he doesn't get a good push off on the wall, so it slows him down dramatically. So even though he hits the rest of the points, his time was slower than what he usually does. It was like a 53.89, I want to say, or 98 or something. And usually he's like 53 low, maybe 52s. So it was off by a second. The other kids didn't have necessarily their best swim either, and they just didn't make. They ended up qualifying 10th, so they were in the B final. So that broke his heart because he knew he wasn't gonna go to the A final, so he wasn't getting a medal one. And then he thought in his mind, he could have made the difference, and they could have gone on. And I told you he was like they were 3 seconds off. So that's what was with that. So final start on Saturday. He goes to the 500. And you could tell, and I knew this might be an issue, because his first 150 of his 500, I'm watching his times, I'm like, he's faster than what he was doing at prelims. It's like, he's doing good, he's a little bit faster. By 200, he was now slower. And then, so the guy running the boards, because there's a kid that sticks a board in the water that tells them what length they are in the pool, because they're making 20 lengths, just so they don't lose count. You're allowed to do that. If they go up and down with the board, it tells them to speed up. If they go sideways, it tells them to slow down. If it holds steady, it means hold that same speed. Well, his board man's watching his splits too. And he's like, he's off. So he's telling him to go faster. And he just doesn't have it. Like, his energy was done. So he didn't have his best swim at the 500. He did a 5:08, which is the second fastest he's ever gone. But the day before, he'd done a 5:04.88. So he was 4 seconds slower than what he did the day before. And really, it was just more of it wore him out from all the swimming, because he'd done preliminaries and he swam as hard as he could. But then after that, because he was so heartbroken, his club coach said, hey, let's go do some practices to get your turns better. And so the following, right after prelims, or not after, a couple hours, he swam some more for practice, and then he came in on Friday or Saturday for the finals. He just didn't do very good on that. And I knew, and he knew, he was just more worn out. He wasn't. And the other thing was, he knew kind of, and I could kind of see it. He's racing for 9th. So what are you going to get? You know what I mean? Like, yes, he wants to beat his times, but I think he knew he couldn't probably beat what he did the day before with the way he was. So you get what I'm saying? I'm probably confusing you and just annoying you. But this was the sad part. The last event was his finals. And he wasn't making that mistake again, I can promise you that. Because he took off on the first leg, and he was a man on a mission, like a bullet. He did a 52 something, and he'd never done a 52 something in the relay. He done a 52 something, I think a 52:33 or something when he was doing it individually, but never in a relay. And he did it right off. And this, by the way, remember, this is after swimming the 500. It's like 10-minute rest and your relay. So I was like, wow, great. At that point, I think they were a third. Then the next guy took off, and we got way behind. I think we were like fourth, and out of 8 lanes, and the B final. Then the last 2 guys, the next one got us up to second, and our last guy got us to win it. So we Broken Arrow, his deal did win the B final. Here's the kicker. Their time was a 3:29:44. Wait for this. The A final goes next. These are supposed to be the faster ones, and this is what this is what hurt them more. The A final goes. The team that finished 8th and got a medal had a time of 3:30:44. So their B final was faster than the A final's 8th place person by a second, and they got no medal. And that I knew it was going to hit him. But he was like, okay, well, at least he won, and he was more excited because he knew this was the last time he was going to swim with several of the seniors. And that wrapped it up. Since then, he's been training still because next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is Club State, and that's the final event of short course, and he'll get some time off so you can stop hearing me blab about my son. That one's way harder. So him making the finals, and he knows this. It's not like I'm trying to embarrass him or nothing like that. It's going to be extremely hard, because every fast kid in Oklahoma is going to be there, straight up. And not only that, in high school state, you can compete in 2 events. In club state, you can compete in as many as you want. And I say this because the fastest kid in Oklahoma, a kid named Griffin Craig, he's committed to Missouri, by the way. His fastest events are the backstroke and butterfly. So that's the 2 he swam at high school state. Guess what? He's like top 3, if not the fastest in freestyle as well. So when club state happens, he could have swum in them all. I guarantee it. Now, obviously, I shouldn't say everything. He'll be some events, he'll space himself out so he doesn't get worn out for the others. But he'll be swimming almost all of them. Same with the other boys that are fast, too. So you got all these fast kids. So Bishop to make the finals would be amazing. Very, very difficult. Because it's the top 16. It's not top 24 like it is in high school state either. Well, actually, I guess top 16 actually make it the finals in high school state, too. But very, very difficult. He's made it once, and he made it in long course. It was in the 400. And that was in the summer of last year. And that's because there were some kids that dropped, because I think he was like 18th, and 2 kids dropped because they were going to do other. That's the thing. If you do that many events, they're like, which one of them I got the best chance of finishing the highest? And they're like, not the 400. So that bumped him into the finals. I don't know what he's going to do. His coach hasn't told me, or haven't seen it anyway. But that's next week, and that's going to be huge. He'll probably have some of his best times ever. So I look for him. He's going to have his best chance. He's probably going to do the 500. I can almost see that one. I think he's going to have his best chance. He's wanting to break a 5-minute. He's been wanting that forever. It's very hard. You got to think about it. Your 200's got to be fast. Everything's got to be fast. You can get underneath the 5 and a 5 in the 500. That's what he wants. Chances are he's probably going to do a 50. Probably going to do 100. Probably going to do some 100 butterflies. Probably 200 IM, a 200 free, probably a 500 free. So he's going to be a lot of stuff. But he's just trying to beat his times, because he knows chances of getting in the top just aren't there. But beat yourself. You keep beating your times, eventually you're going to be where you need to be in those finals. And that's where his goals are. So that's with him. Seems fine. Still working hard. He's at practice right now. Saturday at 10:10, he's still there. So he got up to like 7 to go. He swims a lot. But anyway, that's his update. Proud dad thing, sorry. I shouldn't apologize. This is my son. Thanks. I'm going to pump up for that. But anyway, that's what's going on in my life and with him swimming. After next week, shoot, I guess you guys are just having me talk tech stuff, which some of you are like, yes, finally, I hate that guy. And his face is so ugly. I know. But anyway, guys, take care. Remember, I'm no Superman. I don't port cast iron heads, and I only had 4 people ask me this week if I ported cast iron heads. $10,000 to one of them, but yeah, what you do is you don't tell them you don't port cast iron. You just say $10,000. Not a word. Anyway, I don't port cast iron heads. I am definitely not a Superman. You guys take care.